So this game literally just came out yesterday, and a lot of people really do seem to hate it. I mean, this got a 5 out of 10 on IGN, so I decided to do my own crappy review of the game. So this is Scape by Ubisoft. This game takes place in the year 2054 in a virtual reality thing called the Scape, which is pretty much the equivalent of the Oasis from Ready Player One, both in aesthetic and its main attraction, which is Crown Rush. This thing is basically a battle royale competition where people compete in order to become famous. I mean, that's literally the only reason for the existence of this. Now, while the aspect of this game taking place in the future and its appearance are very cool, this game literally is the equivalent of Ready Player One as a video game, at least in aesthetics and its main plot, something like that. There is a subplot or something like that regarding corruption or people disappearing in real life if they disappear in the game, but there's not enough detail in order for me to actually explain, and most importantly, I do not care. Now, as for the game itself, it's a standard battle royale game, which is basically 99 people going against each other and fighting to death until one person makes it out. Now, it's pretty standard crap at the basics, but this game has problems. And I don't mean minor problems, it's got a lot of problems. The game literally just came out, but it was in beta for about a month, so step up your game. The main issue that exists in this game, and people have talked about it a lot, but it's a flaw that still needs to be reiterated, the guns do not do enough damage! The guns in this game are so freaking weak. The only one that seems to do any sort of damage would be the sniper rifle, and mostly you just want to use that with the assault rifle, and I think you're pretty much set from that point. But other than that, the time to kills for this game are so long because the guns are so weak and they almost do nothing. And what's more is that players will regenerate health if they're not being shot at for a decent amount of time. Kind of like in Warzone, but in Warzone, they have the benefit of short times to kill. This game takes way too long to get battles done with, especially when people run away and refuse to fight you. Now, the reason that the weapons are so weak in the beginning isn't because there's common rarities or anything like that. Instead, the game uses a mechanic known as fusion. Basically, what fusion means is that if you find a hack or weapon that's literally an exact duplicate of the ones you're already using, you can pick that item up and it will literally increase the strength of the weapon that you're using. Of course, if you find a duplicate for a weapon, all this does is increase the magazine. Of course, that makes total sense, not buffing the damage like you expect from any battle royale game. The only way to buff the damage for your guns in the game is if you get 4 fusions for the weapon, aka finding that weapon 5 times. But it can take a long time in order to find the right weapons in order to max out your fusion. All you will get in the beginning is magazine upgrades, and with the amount of damage that these guns do, it's not really that helpful, especially when the magazine increases are so short to begin with. Now, there is clear evidence of the weapons being very weak in this footage here, as you will see with the usage of my shotgun here in this clip. Now, what would you expect a shotgun to do? At medium damage, it should do 50 or 60 damage, something like that. But nope, here, the game thinks it's possible to get a whopping 30 damage from medium range. I mean, come on, I know Fortnite has some terrible bloom, but this is bullcrap. It should not be doing this weak amount of damage. And as you can see, the time to kill will really take ages. Unless you got multiple people ganging up on you, which is just a reason for people to have complaints. Now, as for the hacks, well, why do we even bother calling them hacks when they're basically just abilities? There are a variety of hacks that can be used in-game, and you can only equip 2. These hacks basically have special abilities that you can utilize to your advantage, such as Shockwave pushing you away from an area, like, I don't remember who the character was, from Overwatch, the Rocket League. I haven't played Overwatch enough time to actually remember. Pharah, I think? Yeah, Pharah's Sonic Blaster thing to push her away. But then there's the main ability which everyone uses, myself included, just because it's a fun ability, not regarding the fact that it's overpowered, and that ability is Invisibility. Now, Invisibility in most games only lasts for a short amount of time, and usually there's some evidence that allows people to tell when you're near them while invisible, such as flickering whenever you're close to them or something like that, or only being partially invisible. Nope, in this game you turn completely invisible. And the invisibility here doesn't even make you move slower or give any sort of indication that you're nearby. Once you turn invisible, it is impossible for people to tell where you are, which pretty much breaks the entire game, since this is the most overused ability next to the ball, which creates a protective barrier that can barely be broken by enemy weapons and pretty much gives you a free escape from battle. Literally the most powerful hacks in the game are both hacks that let you escape from battle, which is the main reason fights take so long. Now, to be fair, this game does have a pretty good presentation and a pretty nice map. It clearly looks like it's supposed to be in the future, and things like the breakable doors and the map disappearing, it all feels like it's in a virtual reality space, or some sort of cyberpunk setting, which I guess is the point of the game when it claims to be a futuristic battle royale, or the future of battle royales, even though that's a term that feels very weak for the game itself. Now, as for the map itself, it consists of a variety of districts. Now, the way that the map closing works is that instead of getting a circle, which will shrink in on itself, rather, we have the different districts getting cut off every once in a while. It will usually select a certain amount of districts, and then it will say that those districts are closing. Now, once the district is closed, you can't go back to it, and the district actually pretty much disintegrates once it closes. Now, it looks extremely cool, and this pretty much is a deviation from the normal circle closes in on one section of the map setup that you have for most battle royales. It's kind of the same as how it works in Darwin Project, except with many more sectors, and to be honest, I still think that's pretty cool. Now, the map disappearing, of course, is all fine and good, and it is a pretty well-constructed map, but that does not save the core of the battle royale gameplay itself. Since, as mentioned, the weapons take too long to kill, the times to kill are incredibly short, and some of the hacks are just straight up broken. There are some more balanced hacks, such as the teleport, which is one of my personal favorites, and the heal, and invulnerability, and the wall, stuff like that. There are a variety of different hacks that can be used, and I do think that most of the hacks are nice, but it's just the few ones that are broken and clearly destroy the flow of the game that really cause issues for most players. And I'm not gonna lie, invisibility is cool, but it feels way too strong in this game. The other thing that I should mention about this game is, of course, the death mechanics that work here, since Fortnite stole from Apex, and this game kind of does something somewhat unique, but still kind of similar. Now, the way that respawning works here is, first of all, once you die, you become this ghost or something like that. You have the same movement capabilities that you have when you're normally alive, but you can't shoot. However, instead of simply just being able to spectate the area, you can actually still ping where enemies are and let people know of certain locations. So you can actually scout out areas for your team after you're already dead. Now that part is cool. As for the resurrection mechanic, well, it's interesting and it definitely shakes things up, but I feel like it can be a little bit monotonous at times. Basically what you're supposed to do is find a restoration area or something like that. Basically a spot where an enemy died. Then you activate the restoration point, and then you get your teammates to come over there to revive you. This kind of works like the respawn beacons in Apex, except here the beacons themselves are not predetermined points, but areas where your enemies have died. Now, this is a pretty cool idea, but most of the time you're just going to have a bunch of enemies running around the area, since they're still trying to find your teammates and murder them. The one last thing that I have to mention about this game is the finale section, aka the crown. You see, at the end of the game, instead of it simply just being eliminate all the players to win, you can eliminate everyone to win, but there is another part of the game that's at play that can help make things much more interesting, which is the crown. Once a player picks up a crown, they pretty much are going to try to guarantee victory for their team. All they have to do is hold on to the crown for 45 seconds and the game will end and that team will win. So it will become up to everyone else in order to kill the crown bearer in order to give them another chance to win. Now, this is pretty cool, but it also turns games from a normal battle of wits and skill into a straight-up chase scene. Now, not gonna lie, that chase scene can be pretty intense when you've got everyone in the enemy team gunning for you. But regardless, that still doesn't really fix the issue. Now, this game has its problems, but I still find it kind of fun to play through, simply because it's got an awesome aesthetic, and I kind of do like how it plays a bit. But the broken weapons and the broken hacks kind of have issues with it. If the game buffs the damage, then it will probably become more playable. Now, if I had to go ahead and say my opinion on this game, I'd say that it's okay, but it definitely needs work on it. So, thanks for listening to my opinion on this stupid game.